Coming at you guys with a ban list discussion. This is by no means a wish list or by no means a prediction list. This is just my opinion on what I think should kind of take place here. And I just want to know what your guys' opinions are and what you guys think and how you guys feel. Because, this is everyone's game, right? Everyone has an opinion. So it's really important. So there's not too much here. I mean, there's quite a lot of there's quite a good amount of hits here though. So the first two cards I have here that I think they should just be banned are Wavering Eyes and Life Equalizer. Uh, both cards are just degenerate. They don't like have any real good strategy to them. They're just auto win cards. You know, Konami needs to get rid of these auto win cards. Wavering is cancer in the mirror, and Life Equalizer just promotes OT or FTKs. So get rid of both those cards. We don't need them. They're stupid. And then onto the limited cards. We're gonna start off with Cosmos. I heard a lot of people talk about like Tin Can and Farm Girl and E-Telling, Dark Destroyer, and all these things. And that's a lot of hits, guys. That's quite a lot of hits. Um, Truthfully, I feel like if they hit Cosmotown, they would only need to hit Dark Destroyer and E-Telly. That's just my personal opinion because I think that if they hit Cosmotown, they couldn't really just get their Dark Destroyer back if they only have one, right? And so that makes it where they have to run bad cards like uh, Escape from Dark Dimension or something, right? So like they do have Call of the Haunted, but that's like yeah, I don't know. Like Dark Destroyer is really powerful, but I think Cosmotown to one is the most important because then that way you destroy the Cosmotown. I think it's kind of like a skillful thing where like you MSD the Cosmotown, you're taking a minus. They get any card that they want from their deck, but like if you have an answer, so like you got to use MSD correct, right? I think that's really important, and then E-Telly because I think if you just open Dark Destroyer, E-Telly, and like a Pilot, you can get game with that. Depending on the situation, you also have like it's only three cards, so if you're going second and you open six, you have three cards you can use to just deal with what your opponent has on board. Whether that be like Twin Twister, discard something, and then Regeki, and then use your three card OTK. So that's a very specific hand, but it's not highly unlikely in a Cosmo deck to be honest. So I think that E-Telly, Dark Destroyer, Cosmo Town to one. I think that helps solve the problem a little bit. Just to try out for now. But I think if they didn't hit Cosmo Town, they would have to hit so much other stuff. And I think these three hits are fine. They may have to hit the Farm Girl, or the Tin Can. I'm not too sure here. With these three hits specifically, with the Cosmo Town being limited, so we'll have to wait and see from Konami. But I really think that Cosmo Town is the problem, and it's the best. Like if you open with six ships, like you lose, right? But Cosmo Town helps that. So like get rid of Cosmo Town. Shouldn't be running so much cards like that. And then if they hit Dark Destroyer to one, you wouldn't even be opening with as much ships unless you just all of a sudden kicked up other ships, which, I mean, make your deck worse, right? So moving on to Monarchs, in the OCG they hit Pantheism and Domain, but we're gonna get this I think it's a Cosmic Cyclone or something. It's like a new card. You pay 1,000 life points and you can banish a spell or trap on the field. So that and Twin Twister and MST and all the other cards that exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! They can just clear out back row. I think make it where Domain is less of a card. Plus, it has weaknesses. You can like Regeki or Dark Hole their board or Torrential them or something, and they don't have a tribute summon monster. And now Domain doesn't do anything. So I think Domain's fine, but I think Stormforth and Pantheism need to go to one because Pantheism is an on-crack D-draw and Stormforth is an on-crack Soul Exchange. And I think Stormforth is the real problem here, and like I've noticed a lot of Cosmo players, a lot of Monarch players will just tell you that Stormforth is the most broken card. And my theory behind why Stormforth should be at one is like it should be really hard for a deck to get out its boss monster, but it shouldn't be effortless to get rid of your opponent's boss monster. And in the case of Monarchs, you have a card that can get rid of just about any boss monster free of charge. So like kaiju's are the same thing, but like it's a little different. It's a little different, you guys. Stormforth is like hella searchable. You can just get it like really easily. The deck has just built itself, And one of my problems with Yu-Gi-Oh is a lot of nowadays a lot of decks just splash in 3 of this card, 3 of this card, 3 of that card, and there's the deck. And I think that Konami should force us to either play one-ofs that have like our power plays, and then if we want to recover those power plays, we have to run worse cards to do that, or we can just choose to run our power play and have try to accommodate for other power plays, or just not run those cards at all and try to focus on a different strategy. But when you can give a deck a consistent power play that just gets rid of boss monsters effortlessly, and they can just loop it and do it over and over, that's not fair. That should not be in the game. And so like, I would say a good example is like if they didn't hit Stormforth, then they would have to leave Cosmos with Dart Destroyers. Because then if they didn't, Cosmos would just get wrecked by Monarchs, which they already can get wrecked by Monarchs. So like they're like Stormforth needs to go to 1, and they didn't hit it in the OCG, but they also didn't have Cosmos. And like that might not sound like a great argument, but if you think about it, Cosmos actually warp our format, and they do it very well. Like we can't run certain cards because Cosmos exist. So that's going to change the way we have to play the game. And I think if they hit Cosmos, to be fair, they would have to actually hit the Stormforth. And they should just be hitting Stormforth anyway. Like, you shouldn't be able to get rid of your opponent's boss monsters effortlessly, like, turn after turn. Like, I've seen duels where some guy makes a Dark Law, and they have the out, so they Stormforth the Dark Law. And next turn, the guy puts up another Dark Law, and then right after that, they Stormforth it again. And I'm just like, this is just not fair. Like, it's great that you could just Stormforth and get rid of the Dark Law. But like to be able to do what they do, like, dude, they should just hit the Stormforth and then force you to play Soul Exchange. And if you don't want to play Soul Exchange, then just play other cards. It's much more fair. And then so it's like my only hits to Monarchs is those two, Pantheism and Stormforth. I think Reasoning should also go to 1 because it's just too splashable. Like, I just get this feeling that there's going to be so much more things coming out in the future. It's just going to give more reason for this card to go to 1. And, like, Quantums are a good example of that. They just came out, and they already, like, just use Reasoning, get my level 1, and just spam out and set up everything, and then just make this huge boss monster. Like, yeah, they lose a lot of advantage, but it's still pretty irritating to have to just deal with somebody just sitting there doing that, and then, like, they just drop this monster, and, like, oh, I didn't draw that out. Like, it's pretty freaking irritating. And I feel like with E-Tele limited, if they also limited Reasoning, the likeliness of that happening wouldn't be as much. So I think Reasoning is a definite hit. Sorry, Inferno guys. I know that's like your best card, but you still have that in Monster Gate, and there's other cards you guys could run to mill. So I mean, it's unfortunate. It's like a byproduct, but your guys' deck isn't very nice either, guys. You guys know. You good Infernoid players out there know. Like, that deck is freaking irritating. It really, really is irritating deck. And you play it because it's an irritating deck and it pisses your opponent off. But that's what it is. And then for Draco Pals right now, all I have here is Draco Face Off, and I have Ignister. I've looked at a lot of the Perform Pal support. I don't think it's necessary to hit Sorcerer to 1 with all this new support. I think the hit to the Joker and the Monkey Board is fine enough on that end, but I think the Draco end is a little bit more powerful, and it's really good. So that's what gives the deck its like oomph, like it is Draco Pals for a reason. It's not Performer Dragons, like it's Draco Pals, like it is Dracos, and like you just run like the few Performer Pals because they're just a good engine and they kind of have synergy. Not really, I guess. The deck is just a whole bunch of generic good cards, really, is all it is. Like, it's not even that the deck has synergy. It's just generic good pendulum crap. Like, they just shove down our throats. And so I think with the limit to Monkey Board and Joker, I think Sorcerer is still fine because they're not getting any good support, or any support that's too good. That I think they would warrant Sorcerer to go to 1 because they just draw cards and stuff. That's all they really do. Like, they're consistent. But if you just cut down their power plays within, like, the Draco stuff, the deck isn't as good. And with that, you would also have to hit Ignister, I think. I think Ignister is way too good against, like, even non-Pendulum decks. Like multiple Ignisters is just stupid. One Ignister, he's really good. He's still not as good as Tiramisu. But right now he's a lot easier to summon. Like you could say, oh, it's just a rank 4, it's a level 8 synchro. It's basically the same thing as take 2 monsters. But it's the consistency of being able to put those monsters on board and how safe is it. Like Madolche's, yeah, you can go make your tiramisu, but I'm just gonna max you, draw like a million cards. You're not gonna kill me, and then I'm just gonna kill you next turn. But you can just pendulum summon 5, and they only get 1 off maxi, you know. Or like you can Veiler their the Madolche's play, and then they're not gonna be able to make their tiramisu. But if you Veiler, you know, Draco Cloud player, they'll most likely be able to recover from that and then be able to make an Ignister. So, you know, the deck is very versatile and it's not linear at all. It's very robust. So I would say that Ignister to 1 is very important, guys. Like if Dart Destroyer goes to 1, then Ignister can safely go to 1, which would mean that Stormforth would have to go to 1. So those 3 cards are actually very key in my opinion. Like they would each have to go to 1, or else like it wouldn't have balance. That's just my opinion though. And then I also think Norden should be at 1 because you know, you guys cannot tell me that before Norden, instant fusion was a problem. Like people were summoning Panzer Dragon, they were summoning Carbonala Warrior, you know, Cybersaurus. They were summoning what is the freaking card? The Dark Flare Dragon. You know what? Like Fusionist, like the card is not broken, but Norden is pretty broke. But if you really look at what made Norden broken, in my honest opinion, okay, was the fact that not Satanite, sorry, Star Seraphs were a thing at that time, and not only that, but Soul Charge was a thing in the OCG, and also Ptolemaeus. Now we didn't have Norden when Soul Charge was at 3. When by the time we got Norden, Star Seraphs kind of got power creep because perform engines were already better. And then we also had access to Ptolemaeus, which allowed Norden, you know, to just get that extra bit in there, you know, to make your plays just that much more potent. You can easily drop that Ptolemaeus. So now that that's banned, and I think if they just limited Norden to 1, it wouldn't be as a problem. People wouldn't be splashing in triple instant fusion into like every deck. I already just don't do it. I know a lot. You guys might see my deck profiles and be like, oh, why only 1 instant fusion? That it's like, dude, like. Not only can it be cloggy, but it's just irritating. Like everyone does it. Like it's a good card. I like it, but I think it should just be at 1. You know, I'm a more of an old school guy, where, you know, we didn't have all these 3-ofs. Like we had to play smart and use our cards correctly. You know, and there's a lot of things that using less 3-ofs in your deck can actually teach you how to do that. It really can. So I think Norna should be at 1, and it's fine. Instant Fusion should stay at 3, and then I think in the wake of all these decks, or sorry, actually, one last monster, Dante. I think Dante is the only hit Burning Abyss needs. Like, if you, like, negate the summon of Dante, that's a pretty big thing right there. Or if you can banish the Dante, that's, like, pretty much GG. Like, Dante should go to 1, and I think that Graph at 1 is fine, Sir at 2 is fine, Tour Guide is fine, and then Dante to 1 would be fine. And I think the deck would be fine like that. Like, it's still actually pretty damn playable even with 1 Dante. Like, just because floaters and traps, like, it just works together so well that it's pretty damn good. And Beatrice herself is very good, so I think that it really would just be fine with 1 Dante. And then, so in the wake of all of this, all these decks getting nerfed, I think that that leaves the format somewhat balanced like this. But I think that Mermails might be a little pushed over the edge a little bit too much, because, you know, all these decks would get hit, and the Mermails would just have, like, all these, like, search power, and, like, it's really crazy. If you guys ever seen somebody open, like, Diva Instant Fusion, like, holy crap, like, dang, like, that's just game, man. That's just insane, you know? So, like, I think that Neptibus should go to 1, guys. I think that it'd be fine to just put Neptibus to 1, keep everything else the way it is exactly right now, and Neptibus should just be at 1. And I think that would help tone down the speed and power of the deck a little bit. Just a little bit, to where it wouldn't be too OP. Because, like, you can already just Ghost Ogre at Mega Low, and, like, that's pretty good. So, you know, I think Neptibus to 1, and then I think that balance the format out just a little bit. Some Mermails don't get too OP, but if you disagree, that's fine. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I guess I could be completely wrong, but I could still see Mermails being pretty OP. So, that's that. And then for the last limited, I really like Strike to be limited. It's probably not going to happen right now. It'll probably go to 2, knowing Konami, or it'll actually, the way Konami trending right now, they don't even follow what they say. So like it could just stay at 3 for like forever. It won't, but it could. And I think it should go to 1. And so my argument for it going to 1, I was watching like a couple guys talking about it. I watched Alinthio talk about it, and I watched DP Yugioh talk about it. And both of them were saying something about, Pendulum Hole. It's like a new card that's coming out, and that's basically like a Solemn Strike replacement against pendulums. And I like that, and what I really like is this idea. This is my theory, okay? So Strike is generic. You can use it against any summon that doesn't start a chain. Sorry, I don't know if any summon that doesn't start a chain. So Pendulum Hole can only be used against Pendulum Summon. So why is this good? Because it gives non-Pendulum decks a way to fight Pendulum decks, plus the Strike and the Solemn. But think about this, like, Pendulum Hole can't do anything to an Exceed summon. So, like, Pendulum decks couldn't use Pendulum Hole against a non-Pendulum deck. They would have to use Strike, and they would have to use Solemn. And they're already very powerful. So, like, having even more powerful traps to help protect an even more powerful board is not fair. But if they gave us, Pendulum Hole, it would just give other decks a chance to fight against Pendulums. Because Pendulums shouldn't run the format. Like, it should be about, like, a lot of people hated it, but I really like Shaddoll, BA, Klee, Necroz, Taylor format. It was just, there was so much variety, and like a bunch of those decks could just run different builds, and so it was really, really good on how much variety of like different kind of summoning mechanics were being used. And I guess right now you can say Jekyll Pals does it all, but realistically, like, it's not even like it was. Like, you don't have to use fusions, and like your synchros are just completely fucking tutorable, like, by every card in your deck. So I think it's a little bit different. It's not that fair. So I think Strike should just go to 1. I think it'd just completely be fair. Now we're moving on to semi-limited. I just think Book of Moon should be semi-limited. Like, if Cosmos exist, we can't even really use this card, so it should just be semi-limited for now. I think it should just go to 3, but that might be a little too much, so I say test out for 2 for now. And I also would like to say that I think we should try to test out 2 Morale Talk, because I feel like the card got hit way, like after its prime. Like, it was good, and it deserved to get hit in hat format, but then, like, after hat format, like, what? We had Duelist Alliance, and that completely power creeped out everything that came before it, like freaking Teledad status. It just power creeped the whole game. It was like Tachyon Galaxy, It was like one of those sets. Like, Duelist Alliance was like one of the best sets ever. And Morale Talk got hit right after that. And I think that was like a hit that Konami always like tends to make, where they hit cards too late. So I like to see Morale Talk to 2. I think it should be at 3, but I just, let's just say for argument's sake, go to 2. Just test it out. I think it'll be fine. And then that's pretty much it. We can talk about some cards I think should just come off the list in general. And so, starting off, I'd like to say, free my homie Stratos, Like, just give it to him, Konami. Just give him Stratos. Like, it's not going to do much. It'll do a little. It won't do much. Like, it's the only good main deck monster they would have, like, in my opinion. Like, Shadow Mist is good, Bone Man's good, but Stratos is the best. But, like, think about all the other like decks. Like, they have Stratos, but then they have, like, Dark Destroyer. Like, Heroes don't have that. They have Dark Law, and that's an extra deck monster. Like, Heroes need good main deck cards to be able to be good. And a good example of that would be Monarchs. Like, their main deck cards are phenomenal. They're very good. So, like, for Heroes to compete, they would need good main deck cards, and they just don't have that. Like, you got to pay 4,000 life points to put Dark Law on board, or to get a free search with Stratos. Like, yeah, you can search every turn, but, I mean, Pendulums can just spam 5. Like, it doesn't really matter. So, I think Stratos should go to 1. You just go to 1, Konami. Don't bring it to 3 or 2. Like, just go to 1. Tribe, Infecting Virus, he wouldn't do nothing. He's not good. Shirt, I think you can try it at 1, see how it does. I don't think that with Brio at 1 and Unicorn at 1, Shirt would make too big of a difference. It'd make the deck a little bit more playable. It'd probably be pretty playable, but it wouldn't be like very highly competitive. Like, oh my god, Necros, they're back. I think only Unicorn can make Necros come back. And then I think Heavy Storm could come back. Like, I'm pro Heavy, and the reason being, when I learned some of the key aspects of this game, and I learned how to, maintain advantage and learned how to not overextend and how to play my cards correctly. Heavy Storm was a part of that world when I was learning about the Yu-Gi-Oh world. And so for me, I think Heavy Storm is good. Uh, it's one of those arguments though where like no one's right or wrong. It's just an opinion. Like you're either pro heavy or anti heavy, and either way, it does not matter to me. Like I'm pro heavy. If you're anti heavy, good. Like good for you. You have a good opinion, right? So moving on here, we have I'm putting premature burial because I've seen people talk about Monster Born, and they have a pretty decent argument saying like, well, most time pendulums don't have too much in the grave. And I could see, yeah, they don't really have too much abusable stuff. Like, yeah, well, yeah, let's get back an Xyz material. Like, it's not a big deal. But the fact that you can take your opponent's monsters is somewhat of a big deal. So I think heavy might be a little too much. But I think, I think Reborn might be a little too much. But I think premature burial actually might not be too much. I think I'd rather test out premature burial before Reborn. And I'm not really gonna use the MST excuse because Snatch still proved that wrong. But I'm gonna say that I don't think premature burial is as strong as Snatch Steel. I don't think it's like a top deck and win the game kind of card. At least not in this pendulum format. It's not like like if you're not playing a pendulum deck and you're playing this card and you're playing against another non-pendulum deck, then premature burial might do something for you. But in this pendulum game, like it's really not a big card here. And if Norton goes to 1, then premature burial might be a decent pick because it's not free. You're not getting Norton back for free. It's basically like a refusion. So premature burial to 1, I think we should try it out. Then Construct to 1, I think it was an unfair hit like Moral Talk. Like the deck was already pretty power creeped, and then they just hit the deck to hell. So Construct to 1. I think Exciton Knight to 1 is good. I think it's bullshit. Part of my French that decks can just spam out first turn, go +6, go whatever, plus infinity, and then just set up this unbreakable board. And Exciton might not always be the best answer to that specific unbreakable board, but I think that decks should not be able to go plus before you have a chance. So this card is a necessary evil in my personal opinion. I really think it should just go back to 1, but knowing Konami, it's not, unfortunately. And then for all you wind-up guys, I got Zenmaity on here. I think Zenmaity should go to 1 at least for now, and just see what it does. I don't think it's going to do much, but I think Zenmaity should go to 1. Just for the wind-ups, just give them their Zenmaity back. And same goes for these Inzectors here. I think Inzectors, Dragonfly, and Hornet should just both go to 3. The deck can be irritating even with just one of each. Like, oh god, it can still be irritating to deal with today. If you're just playing against like your friends and you're just playing for fun. It's just wow. But in the competitive nature, like nah, like these cards they're not even competitive anymore. Like they've been power creep to hell. So put them at 3 each, Konami. And the same goes for Tragodia. Like just put it to 3. Like I don't. Why is Tragodia out at 2? Like we got Gores at 3, and like Tragodia, it steals a monster. Like everything's pendulum based now. Like, whatever. Like a lot of people just make Xseeds too. So like everything's pendulum based and everybody makes Xseeds. And like you can't even target ships, Cosmo ships. So like just bring Tragodia to 3. We got an ulti Kanahawk. You cannot tell me that when you saw the ban list and you were like Kanahawk, you were like, oh, that's I saw that coming. Like no, like you didn't see that coming. Like everyone was like, Kanahawk, like they hit Kanahawk. That's kind of how the reaction was. It was a big surprise. So I don't, and like the deck doesn't do much. Like it's irritating to play against because their turns literally go forever. Like I'm one of those guys that likes to pay attention to all my opponent's moves, but literally when they're playing this deck, I'm just like, oh my god, I have to sit here through this. Like I'm really irritated right now because like if like I just don't want to pay attention, but then they can just cheat. So like no, like it's very irritating to deal with. And then finally, I just have Compulse and Torrential to 3. I think you could put Bottomless here, but I really want to just see what these 2 cards could do first. They're both pretty decent. At 3, they're better than they are at 1. That's my opinion. Like they're better at multiples. Like the cards themselves are just better to use when they're at multiples than they are just 1. But that just depends. So I don't think that would do too much. So I think that they could come back to 3 each, and it would be fine. And so this is pretty much it. This is my theory on what should be happening, and if you guys like the video, just give me a like, because it helps the channel grow, you know what I'm saying? I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys have your own opinion on the ban list, and you you guys think that I'm wrong about something, don't feel afraid to say anything. And if you agree, just leave a comment down below, so we can, talk about it and maybe help me make videos more suitable for what you guys want to watch as well. And yeah, subscribe for more Yugioh content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.